What's up, everyone? All right, well, penny stocks are the name of the game right now. They are very hot. Yesterday, we had a penny stock that went up over 500%. And anytime that happens, the next penny stock that starts to pop up even a little bit has that many more eyes on it. And today, we've got a penny stock up nearly 300%. Let's pull up the chart and take a look. WBUI, WBUY, or WeBuy, however you want to say it. It's WeBuy. WeBuy Global. So this stock has a 19 million share float, and currently it's up 258%, closing in on 300%, which is a really impressive move. And the move started after hours. So traders kind of jumped on it yesterday looking for that move, and it sort of went sideways until 6 a.m. when it starts to pop up again up to 20 cents. Pulls back, goes to 25 cents, goes below VWAP, looks a little weak, and then all of a sudden, boom, up to 25, pulls back, and then a quick squeeze up to 35 cents a share. Now, at the open, we dipped down and then did a red to green move as we're pushing up to 45 cents a share. So we do have some issues with it. The 200 EMA is up here just around 70 cents. It's a 19 million share float. FOXO was the big mover yesterday, and this one had a float that was half as big, so it's a 9 million share float. It's lower, for sure. And in theory, it can move twice as much on the same amount of volume. If you think of float as float is almost the weight holding a stock back, and volume is the power. So when you have a stock that weighs 19 million shares, it takes more volume to get a 500% move. When you have a stock that weighs 9 million shares, that same amount of volume, it can go twice as high. Now, that's not an exact science. It's an analogy, because in reality, you do have times where these companies will be selling shares actively on the market to raise more money. So for instance, yesterday, one of the stocks I traded was SONN, Sun. But we noticed yesterday that it had a little bit of a headwind. There was some heavy selling at points. And the news came out yesterday afternoon that they had done a secondary offering. So pricing of $5 million. And we kind of have to assume that they were taking advantage of all of the volume in the market to sell shares to people that were buying. And so when you get these kind of big topping tail candles, or you get these big rejections, or these rejections here, that can be indicative of a company that is selling shares. So the prices unfortunately came all the way back down. So that is a little bit of a variable. Now, whether or not that was happening on FOXO, I'm not sure. It had nearly 1 billion shares of volume yesterday. 1 billion. That is huge volume. That's a tremendous amount of volume. Now, of course, it's back at 40 cents. What goes up often comes back down. You never know how high they're going to go. Sometimes you get one like, well, let's look back at Drug, which went from $2-3 to $65 a share, then all the way up to 80. It's currently still holding $50 a share. This is the daily chart down here. Went up to a high of about 80 bucks, but it's not dying. So, the longer these kind of keep holding, if people are short and they're paying to keep borrowing their position every single day, then it's going to get expensive to maintain that position, and they might decide to cover, especially if the stock starts to squeeze back up. So WBUY presented a little bit of an issue for me. As you probably know, I don't usually like trading these lower priced stocks, and so I did not trade it. Now, in hindsight, I could have traded it, and I suppose made money because it went up nicely. But usually I don't find myself doing as well on these. In order to make good money, you've got to buy a lot of shares. And I'm sure there's people out there who are buying 300, 400, 500,000 shares or more, but I just don't really like doing that. I don't feel super comfortable taking those kinds of positions. So anyways, I didn't trade this, but this ends up becoming a stock that already has 500 million shares of volume and is dispersing attention. So for instance, if typically on a typical day, I'm focusing on a stock, like one of the stocks I did well today was BNZI, which had a 600,000 share float. It's a pretty low float. So let's say typically I'm watching a stock like this, and on a day when this is the number one leading percentage gainer, all eyes might be on this stock here. But today, the pennies over here, the penny stock, WBUY, this ended up garnering a lot of attention. 500 million shares worth. And it's not just the shares of volume, it's the people staring at this, paying attention to this instead of looking at this. And then, of course, you have DJT, Trump Media, which is still gaining attention, right? And then you have some people focusing on Tesla right now because, well, Tesla's been really volatile. So, unfortunately, because there's so much volatility going on in the market at large, we have dispersed attention. So, again, on a day where these weren't in play, this might have gone up twice as much as it went up today. But because of a number of factors, one of them being dispersed attention, this didn't get as much attention as it perhaps could have. So let's start, well, we won't start with BNZI. Let's start with my first trade of the day, which was on CYN. So I'm sitting right now at $13,366.53, which is going to put me up about $100,000 on the week right now. This market has just been unbelievable. I'm so impressed. Every day that I sit down and we see another stock go up 100%, I'm grateful for it. This type of volatility is really fantastic. So anyways, the window right now to be aggressive for me is open, and I'm trying to capitalize on it the best I can. So when I first sat down, we actually didn't really have anything on the scans that looked good. I was kind of surprised, but there was really nothing that looked really good. So the first stock that popped up was CYN. And at 7 a.m., top of the hour, this had news. So it spikes up right here from $4 all the way up to $6.50, just about $6.50. So I'm like, holy smokes, look at this thing. So let's get dialed in on basically how I approach this. So my workflow is I see a stock, and generally I'm seeing it on one of my scanners. Sometimes I'll see it because someone mentions it in the chat room, or I see the news desk that we have post a news headline. But on this one, I saw the stock moving up my scanner, and I clicked the stock. So I click the stock, the chart starts loading, and the news starts loading, and I see NVIDIA. And I'm like, okay. So I immediately go to my level 2 window. I punch in CYN. I'm looking at the price. And what I saw was that it had initially popped up. And I'll show you, we'll back this up. We're going to look at the 10-second chart so we can kind of dissect that, especially those first couple of minutes. So I pull up the chart, and it had already tapped a high here of 520 right here. So it dips down for just a second, and I get in right here at about 525, adding it as it moved higher, and it immediately goes up to $6 a share. I'm instantly up $1 a share. It ends up going up to 640, and I take profit off the table. I'm up $3,500 on the first trade. Didn't take the biggest share size, but got a decent trade. So then I go up to full size for my next trade, and I get back in for the break back over 6. It hits 6 and then dumps here, and I lost $3,000. Gosh darn it. I get back in here, I lose again on it. So now I'm all the way back to basically flat on the day. I'm really kind of annoyed. I was able to recover some of that loss, and I am up 3,300 as you can see on it now. But this was not an easy stock to trade. We got a break back over VWAP. That was nice. So it pops back up over VWAP, goes all the way back up to 6, but again, couldn't get over 6. Just struggled at that level. But the break back over VWAP, I got a nice trade on that. There were also a couple of dips that I got nice trades on, trading around the support of volume weight average price. And my last trade on it was actually going into the open right here for the breakthrough 560, and I was looking for a move back up to 6, but it stalled out. So CYN, not the easiest stock to trade. And as it turned out, this headline with NVIDIA was a little bit misleading because the headline is really just that they're using NVIDIA chips. That's all. I mean, it's not a partnership with NVIDIA. So I think that kind of took a little of the wind out of the sails on that one. So that was CYN. That was the first stock I traded on the day. Then the next stock, let's see. So let me look at this. So CYN was the first stock I traded. Got some nice trades on that. And then I had CING. CING, I saw that on the scanner as well. I pull it up, I jump in, and holy smokes. Talk about a knife. This thing did a full round trip. It actually went, even though it had news, and it goes from 4 to 6, all the way back down to 3. I made $300 on it, but that was not a nice trade. So at that point, I was like, all right, caution flag is going up. we're seeing some volatility here today that's going to be hard to manage risk on. So maybe I need to be thinking more about curls and less about jumping in on that first spike. So then one of the next stocks I saw was BNZI, and BNZI was a curling pattern. It had spiked up earlier this morning right here, and as it curled up right here, I got in for the retest of that high, and this squeeze from 240, 250, 260, all the way up to 3, micro pullback up to 340, pulls back, goes all the way up to 380. And I locked up $10,000 on it, but I gave back $3,000 off the top. So again, on this one, I got a little too aggressive. I pushed my luck a little bit and I gave back profit off the top. Now, the spot I gave back profit on this, for what it's worth, was underneath VWAP. Not a great trade. I thought maybe we'd get a break of VWAP setup, which, in all fairness, we have had a couple really nice ones, but that did not work and I lost $3,000 on that trade. So that was disappointing. And at that point, I kind of thought this might be it for the day. And then gnln hits my scanner. And on gnln, this one gave us a curl as well. So we had the first pop here up to 355. It pulls back, and then we have the curl back up. Dips down, curl back up. But it wasn't really easy to trade. And I only locked up $2,600 on it. Unfortunately today, we had some momentum, but attention was dispersed. And as we went into the open, I was watching CYN because it was the leading gapper, but we just really didn't get clean follow through today. It just didn't happen. It's a shame. I just thought, I don't know, yesterday was a great day and the day before that was a great day. So I just kind of thought I was going to have another really solid day today, but not that this isn't a good day. It's a good day, but I thought maybe today was going to be another really strong day. And I sort of thought I just have to wait and be patient. And once something is spiking up, we're going to get some good momentum. But I think unfortunately today, attention was a little bit more dispersed. And that had an effect that was a little stronger than what I anticipated. So the result was setups that might have ordinarily worked better didn't work quite as well. And of course, WB We Buy ended up performing really well, probably better because that was more similar to the stock yesterday that made a big move. So my feeling right now going into tomorrow is, tomorrow's the end of the week and I've had a great week here. We'll look at my P&L on the week. So let's see. And I mean, for the most part, the game plan is the same, just to sit down and, try to capitalize on whatever's moving with news. But just to recognize that today was a little bit slower. Had a really good day Tuesday, really good day Wednesday. Now today's a little bit slower. So 90-day outlook here, sitting at $974,000 in 90 days. And I think I can get that 90-day look back to being over $1 million because this is when, things start to pick up a little bit. So I think if I just have a couple more weeks, I mean, really, we look at the last 30 days. The last 30-day outlook is 500,000. And that's the real hot streak began only about a month ago. So it's just kind of wild. So as I sit right now, first week of November, well, unfortunately, the first day of November was a red day. It was down 9,000, not 400. But bounced back on Monday and had a really solid day Tuesday, solid day today, Wednesday. So I'm at 90,000 on the week before today. So now I'm at 103,000 on the week, and I've still got one day left. So I'm going to try to do the best I can tomorrow. Goal right now is to break over 100K on the month. I did about 400,000 last month, and I think it's kind of crazy. I'm only 25% of the way there, approximately, but I think it's realistic. It's a big number, but if we keep seeing 100, 200, 300% moves, that's, if I'm able to keep locking up $10, $15, $20,000 days, it just might happen. So, I'm feeling optimistic, and I'm just going to keep, stepping up every day and doing the best I can. So, this is as I talked about before, going back to 2016, profit skyrocketed in 2020. The window was open. The market got super hot, cooled off in 2022, Federal Reserve jacking up interest rates. 2023 was a low point. Had the Silicon Valley Bank, First National or First Republic Bank. I mean, it was a lot of there's a lot of headwinds for active traders, and now things are turning around, and there seems to be a lot more optimism in the market right now. So the last time I had a month, so this year, best month was last month, October. And the last time I had a month that strong, it wasn't in 2022. I mean, I had a couple good months in 2022, but it was actually back in 2021. So January of 2021, $866,000. That was during GameStop. And then February was 400 grand, 400 grand in March, 200, 300, 76, and then, kind of 400, 300 to 500 in these months. And, this was 2021, which ended up being a $4.3 million year. So, right now, just for the last, you have to kind of look at the year, of course, in total, but these last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months have been significantly better than the first 6 months out of the year. And, we don't know what December's going to hold, but if the next 6 months look like these past 6 months, that's going to be a 12-month window of some really hot trading. And, what happened between June and July? All of a sudden we had a couple of stocks that really took off, and it ignited this round of momentum. I think some shorts blew up and they're out of the market, and we just saw less headwind and more tailwind, more traders feeling bullish and optimistic. And now that continued in a big way in October with that 2,000% squeeze on drug. And now in November, it's continuing as well. And of course, we have the added tailwind of new administration coming in that is friendlier to the stock market and will be friendlier to publicly traded companies in a lot of ways. You may not like everything about the new administration, but just from the narrow lens of stock market performance, it's why is the market up over 1,000 points since the election? The market's responding well, right? Why is Tesla up 20% or whatever it is since the election? Why is First Solar down since the election? Well, Trump is not a solar renewable energy guy. He's, let's drill. Let's drill for oil here in the US. We've got this big supply of oil. So First Solar, FSLR, that one's down quite a bit. A lot of other solar companies are down as well. So we're seeing money shifting around and moving in response to his clean sweep victory and winning the Senate. And the House is they still have, I'll have to refresh my phone here and see how many seats they're still, let's see, it says 38 yet to be called still on the House. So right now the majority I'm not sure. So we'll have to see. But nonetheless, the market money is moving around in the market. And and of course, big bank stocks like Goldman Sachs are up quite a lot, expecting a conservative presidency. Republican in office is less regulation, less reining in of Wall Street. Don't have to worry about transaction tax, all these things. So anyways, this is right now, we're coming into in sort of the last 6-7 weeks of the year. And, January, we've got a new administration coming in, and it's a lot all at once. And so we're in a very, very different place than we were at the end of 2023, at the end of 2022, and even at the end of 2021. I mean, this is really, this is some big stuff we're seeing in the market right now. So I'll be back at it, of course, tomorrow. Those of you guys who haven't already done a 2-week trial at Warrior Trading, I'll remind you with the link in the description and pin at the top of the comments. You can do a 2-week trial for $20. That'll give you access to my broadcast, my scanners, the chat room, the news feed, everything here that you see on my screen, plus my live broadcast. So make sure you guys check that out. And I have noticed some people talking about trading internationally. So I could do a separate episode on it, but I mean, I trade from all over the world. I travel quite a bit. That's one of the things that's great about trading. If you're an international resident, many international residents do trade the U.S. market, and some of them will use U.S. brokers, but many of them will use international brokers that accept international customers. So there's a number of brokers in Europe that traders will use. A couple just to name off the top of my head. You've got Trade Zero, which caters to European traders. Interactive Brokers caters to European traders, although I don't really love their platform, to be honest. But there's many others, and they're brokers that let you trade the U.S. market. So it's really a question of time zone. And are you able to trade during the windows when we're seeing peak volatility, which I suppose right now is from 4 a.m. until, well, I mean, realistically, the day begins at 4 a.m. and it goes till 8 p.m. There's not a lot at the tail end of the day, but from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., that's power hour into after hours trading. And then from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's a window. 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. is lighter volume, so it's a little bit more difficult. I open the room every day at 7 a.m. That's when I begin streaming. That's Eastern Standard Time. So that's like, 1 in the afternoon in Europe. And I trade till usually about 9:30, 10 right now. Sometimes I'll go later on a hot day, and sometimes I cut it a little bit shorter. But that's the window that I'm trading, but it's not to say that that's the only window that you can trade, because there's our room is open and through after hours, so people can trade and do through the whole day. But I have my window where I focus, and I think that that's good to develop. But yeah, you can trade the U.S. market from really anywhere in the world. It's pretty remarkable. So that's it for me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll be back at it live streaming bright and early tomorrow morning for members at Warrior Trading. All right, I'll remind you guys as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk and always practice this simulator before you put real money on the line.